Hi, welcome along then to the virtual village hall quiz. My name's Dave and I'll be with you for the next little while, testing that grey matter that you've got tucked away with some general knowledge and some specific round questions as well. But what you will need today are some pencils, well, just one really, and some paper. So I'll just give you a couple of moments to get those together. And while you're doing that, I'll just tell you what the rounds are going to be today. So first up, the first round will be on general knowledge. There's going to be 10 questions on each round. Then we'll have a look at English towns and cities. And then we'll have a look at a mystery round. I'll tell you a little bit more about the mystery round when we get there. So we'll do 3 rounds and we'll mark up the 3 rounds. We'll give you the answers. And then we'll have a look at card games. We'll have a look at the Southern Hemisphere and we'll have a look at a school timetable. Just take you back or however long to when you were at school. But all that's to come. I hope you've got your pencils and papers ready as we go through the questions. And as I said earlier, there are 10 questions in each round. So question number 1 then, the first round is general knowledge. Question number 1 today, how many zodiac signs are also a boy's name? I don't need to know the name of the sign or signs, just the number of them. How many zodiac signs are also boys' names? So as I said earlier, there's 10 questions in each round. So just mark up your sheet 1 to 10. Question number 2. A lot of us have bought things on eBay, but which colour is the letter B on the eBay logo? What colour is the letter B on the eBay logo? Question number 3. Invented in the 19th century, the Davy lamp was worn by which workers? It was a special safety measure. It was a lamp that was bought out. It was invented by Herbert Davy, but which type of worker, which profession would have used a Davy lamp to keep them safe in their workplace? Question number 4 on your general knowledge. What is the collective noun for a group of owls? Owls, they're very clever chaps. So what is the collective name for a group of owls? I hope I'm not going too quickly for you. Question number 5. Which animal feeds its young with pink milk? So which animal feeds its young with pink milk? If you'd like to say hello to me, I'd love to hear from you this afternoon, by the way. If you just drop your name in the comments, I'd love to say hello to you. Please don't drop the answers in, though, because we don't really want to give anyone else a heads up. So you just had question number 5, which animal feeds its young with pink milk? Question number 6. Quite a lot of us, in fact, probably all of us, have played cards at one point or another. What I'd like you to think about is, what is the only playing card which, when you say it out loud, has 6 syllables? There's only one. So what is the only playing card that, when you say it out loud, has 6 syllables? It's a 51 to 1 chance, I suppose, of getting it right. Question number 7. Which country has a unicorn as its national animal? Which country has a unicorn as its national animal? You'll know this one, you'll have seen it. So which country has a unicorn as its national animal? Number 8. In the Bram Stoker novel, where does Dracula come ashore when he lands in England? Which town does he land in? So the boat washes up on the coast of which town? That's a book I haven't read. I've seen lots of Dracula movies. Still haven't read the original book, though. So which town does Dracula arrive in when he arrives in England? Question number 9. How many stripes are there on the American flag? So it's got 50 stars, but how many stripes does it have on the flag? Just like to know the number. And sticking with America for number 10, in which year did Apollo 11 land on the moon? So in which year did Apollo 11 land on the moon? I'd like to say hello to Lou. Thank you very much for joining us today. Hope you've got most of these already. Also, hello to Janet as well. So that was your general knowledge round. So number one, first question on the round on English towns and cities. So 10 questions, they're on English towns and cities. So they all have an English town or city in the answer. You'll see what I mean as we go through them. So question number one, who was the first DJ to appear on Radio 1? Appear isn't the right word because it's a radio, but who was the first DJ that you heard? What was his name? The first DJ to broadcast. That's the word I was looking for. Who was the first DJ to broadcast on Radio 1? Victoria, apparently your quiz ready. That's what we like to hear, Victoria. Thanks very much for joining us. Question number two. Let's go back about 800 years. King John lost the crown jewels in the wash, but in which town did he die? So King John, he lost the crown jewels when he was on his travels, traveling across the Midlands. He lost them in the wash, but in which town did he die? Question number three on English towns and cities. What is the only English town that has an exclamation mark in its name? There's only one. So what's the only English town to have an exclamation mark in its name? Let's move on to question number four. What name is given to a football match where two teams from the same city play each other? It's also the name of a town. So what name is given to a football match where two teams from the same city play each other? Say British towns and cities. So question number five, which British city appears in the lyrics of Super Trooper by Adam? Let me try that again. Which British city appears in the lyrics of Super Trooper by ABBA? There we are, I knew I could get it right, by ABBA. Which city appears in the lyrics? Hello to Irene. I hope you're enjoying the quiz this afternoon. Thanks for getting in touch. Number six, what name is given to the slope of the road that stinks down from the middle of the road towards the curb? As you know, the road is higher in the middle and there's a slope on the road which slopes down towards the curbs to let the rain run off to the drains. What's the name of that slope? It's got a special name as the road gets lower as it gets towards the curb. What's the name of that slope? Let's move on. Number seven, which grass used for making cereals can also be a certain type of smile? Remember the theme of the round. These are all English towns and cities, or British towns and cities. So which grass used in making cereals can also be a certain type of smile? Question number eight, which football team are nicknamed the Cherries? So it's a Premier League team, so that narrows it down quite a lot. Which football team are nicknamed the Cherries? Hello to Evelyn. Hello, Evelyn. Thank you very much for joining us. Question number 9 on English towns and cities. What is the capital of the Isle of Man? The capital of the Isle of Man. I keep saying English towns and cities. They're really British towns and cities. So what is the capital of the Isle of Man? And question number 10. Who played Dirty Den in TV's EastEnders? Just remember the theme of the round there, British towns and cities. So who played Dirty Den in EastEnders? Very famous man, very famous scene one Christmas back in the 1980s. You know the scene, I mean, I'm sure. So let's go on to round number 3 then. After this round, what we'll do, we'll mark up the rounds so far and we'll see how you're getting on, and then we'll go on to the last 3 rounds. So this is the mystery round. I do enjoy mystery rounds. What happens is you've got 9 questions and each of the answers has a link with all the others. And the answer to question number 10 will be what links all the answers together. You'll see what I mean as we go. Okay, so mystery round. What is the sixth book of the Old Testament? The sixth book. What is the sixth book of the Old Testament? You've got Genesis, then you've got Exodus, but just carry on going down till you get to the sixth one. So all the answers will have a common link between them. Let's move on. Who is the only man to be 16 times champion of the world in darts? Who is the only man to be 16 times champion of the world in darts? Pretty good player. Question number 3. What name is given to a person on a jury whose job it is to give the verdict? So with the mystery rounds, if you're not sure of an answer, but you work out as we're going through what the link is, you might be able to work backwards and find the answer that you don't have. So question number 3, then, what name is given to the person on a jury whose job it is to give the verdict? Let's move on. Question number 4. What name is given to a person who makes barrels? There's a certain name for a person who makes barrels, but what is it? Let's move on to a sport question for number 5. Which type of surface is tennis played on at the French Open Tennis Championships? So, you know, Wimbledon's played on grass, isn't it? But which type of surface is tennis played on at the French Open Championships? I wonder if you've got the link yet. Don't put it on the comments, though, if you have. But I hope you have so far. And as I said earlier, if you don't have one of the answers, you might be able to work backwards and find out and have a think of what the answer is. So question number 6 on the mystery round. Which store has the slogan, "Never knowingly undersold"? So which store has the slogan, "Never knowingly undersold"? Not so many of them around these days, but they still have some stores. So "Never knowingly undersold" is the slogan used by which store? Question number 7. Who had a hit in the 1980s with "Hungry Like the Wolf"? They had lots of hits. That was one of them. "Hungry Like the Wolf" was a hit for who in the 1980s? Let's move on. Question number 8. The singer-songwriter Peter Gene Hernandez is a huge international star. He's a really huge star at the moment, but which name is he better known as? So his real name is Peter Gene Hernandez, but what name does he record under? He's had lots and lots of hit records, several #1 hit records over the last couple of years. But who is he? And don't forget, all the answers have a common link. And question number 9, which cartoon character always wore a bowler hat and featured the voice of Arthur Lowe? So which cartoon character always wore a bowler hat and featured the voice of Arthur Lowe? You remember Arthur Lowe from Dad's Army? Well, he also did this cartoon series as well. But what was the name of the little chap, the little cartoon character who had the voice of Arthur Lowe? He did the stories, Arthur. And question number 10 then, what links all these answers together? Okay, we'll come back to those, but I did promise you I'd run through the first 3 questions and answers. So we'll go back to round number 1. It was general knowledge, if you remember. I asked you how many zodiac signs are also a boy's name? Well, there's just the one, and that's Leo. Number 2, what color is the letter B on the eBay logo? I asked you that. It's blue. The Davy lamp, question number 3, was invented for use by miners. And I asked you on question number 4, the collective noun for a group of owls, which is a parliament. Number 5, I asked you which animal feeds its young with pink milk? Well, those are hippos. Question number 6, it was the playing card question. I asked you which playing card, if you say it out loud, is the only one to have 6 syllables? Well, it's the 7 of diamonds. 7 of diamonds. Number 7, Which country has a unicorn as its national animal? I'll get there, don't worry. And that is Scotland. You may well have seen it on your passport. It's certainly on the front cover. Number 8, the Bram Stoker book. I asked you where Dracula came ashore when he landed in England. That was in Whitby. I asked you how many stripes are on the American flag at question number 9. There are 13 of them. And number 10, in which year did Apollo 11 land on the moon? Well, that was back in 1969. So that was your towns and cities. And I asked you, who was the first DJ to broadcast on Radio 1? Well, that was Tony Blackburn. We moved on to question number 2. I asked you about King John, where he died. That was in Newark. Question number 3, the only English town to have an exclamation mark in its name. Well, that's Westwood Ho down in Devon. Number 4, what name is given to a football match where 2 teams from the same city play each other? Well, that's a derby. Number 5, which British city appears in the lyrics of Super Trooper by ABBA? Well, that's Glasgow. Number 6, I asked you what name was given to the slope of the road where it slopes down towards the curb to let the rain run down from the middle of the road to the curbs? Well, that's a camber. Number 7, the grass used in making cereals, which can also be a certain type of smile. Well, that's rye. Number 8, the football team nicknamed the Cherries. Well, that's Bournemouth. Number 9, the capital of the Isle of Man it still is, Douglas. And number 10, I asked you who played Dirty Den in EastEnders. Well, that was Leslie Grantham. We then moved on to round number 3. I asked you the 6th book in the Old Testament. Well, that's the book of Joshua. Number 2, the only man to be 16 times champion of the world in darts. Well, that's Phil Taylor. The name given to the person on a jury whose job it is to give the verdict. Well, that is a foreman. Number 4, the name given to a person who makes barrels is a cooper. I then asked you which type of surface tennis is played on at the French Open Tennis Championships. Well, that's clay. The store that has never knowingly undersold as its slogan is John Lewis. We moved on to number 7. I asked you who had a 1980s number 1 hit with Hungry Like the Wolf, and that's Duran Duran. Number 8, the singer-songwriter Peter Jean Hernandez is better known as Bruno Mars. Number 9, the cartoon character who always wore a bowler hat and featured the voice of Arthur Lowe. Well, that was Mr. Ben. And number 10, I asked you what the link between all the answers was. And the link I was looking for were Joshua, Taylor, Foreman, Cooper, Clay, Lewis, Bruno, Duran, Ben. They're all boxers. So boxers was the answer to number 10. That was your link. So I hope you enjoyed those 3. Let's move on to round number 4. And we'll do another 3 rounds then. And then we'll do the questions and the answers. We'll do the questions first, though. Don't worry. Number 1, it's card games. Question number 1 on card games. What is the highest hand that you can have? It's unbeatable in 3-card brag. 3-card brag. What hand is unbeatable? The top hand. So in poker, it would be, for instance, it would be a royal flush. In 3-card brag, what will be the highest unbeatable hand? Number 2, which format of rugby used in the Olympic Games is also a card game? So which format of rugby used in the Olympics is also the name of a card game? Question number 3 on card games. Now, we all have 1. Doctor Who has 2, and an octopus has 3. But what are they? So we all have 1. Doctor Who has 2, and an octopus has 3. But what are they? Now, bear in mind the theme of the round, they're all card games. Let's move on to number 4. Which Suffolk town has a racecourse which is also the name of a popular card game? So which Suffolk town has a racecourse which is also the name of a popular card game? Number 5. According to the title of their number 1 hit song, what did Chrissie Hynde, Cher and Nana Cherry claim Love Could Build. So the three of them had a hit. It was in the mid-1990s. I'd like to know that according to the title of their number one hit song, what did Chrissie Hynde, Cher, and Nana Cherry claim Love Could Build? So Love Could Build a something. What's the something? Maybe you've got this one tucked away in your collection somewhere. Number 6. What was the name of the fortune-telling character played by Jane Seymour in the Bond film Live and Let Die? So what was the name of the fortune-telling character played by Jane Seymour in the James Bond film Live and Let Die? It's probably one of the best themes for me, that one, Live and Let Die. But what was the name of the fortune teller? Number 7. If somebody is calm and never allowing anything to upset them, what quality of a saint are they said to have? So if somebody is calm and never allowing anything to upset them, what quality of a saint are they said to have? Let's move on to number 8. How many points are needed to win a game of cribbage? I do like a game of cribbage. I've been playing since I was about 8 or 9. Dad taught me how to play. It's a really good game. If you haven't played it, maybe check it out. If you have played it, you'll know how good it is. So how many points are needed to win a game of cribbage? Number 9. What is the Spanish word for the number 1? Don't forget the theme of the round. They're all card games. So number 9, what is the Spanish word for the number 1? And question number 10, a Jenny is a female what? So a Jenny is a female of which animal? Don't forget the theme of the round, card games. So we're looking for a Jenny being a female what? We'll give you the answers to those fairly soon. 2 rounds to go there, and then we'll go through all the answers. So this one here, round number 5, is on the southern hemisphere. So anything south of the equator for this one. So question number 1 on the southern hemisphere. Now the locals, the people who live there, call it Uluru. I'll spell that for you because I probably haven't pronounced it correctly. U-L-U-R-U, Uluru. But what name do we call it? What's its more famous name? So Uluru is otherwise known as what? Question number 2 on the southern hemisphere. What is the Southern Cross? What is the Southern Cross? Number 3. Montevideo is the capital city of which country? So all these answers, they'll be somewhere in the southern hemisphere. Montevideo is the capital city of which country? Let's move on to sport for number 4. What is the name, or rather the nickname, of the South African rugby union team? So what is the nickname of the South African rugby union team? And you'll know this one, number 5. Who was released from Robben Island on February the 11th, 1990? So who was released from Robben Island on February the 11th, 1990? Number 6. What is the largest country in South America? By area, what is the largest country in South America? Let's move over to Australia here. Number 7. What is the main food of a koala bear? What do they eat mostly? What's the main food of a koala bear? Question number 8. In which country is Cape Horn? Cape Horn. It's right at the bottom. But in which country is Cape Horn? Question number 9. Now, I live in Lincolnshire, and one of the most famous people from Lincolnshire went on various voyages with Captain Cook, and he was the first man to map the coastline of Australia. But who is he? What's his name? So what's the name of the man who was the very first man to map the coastline of Australia? It was a couple of hundred years ago. You may have seen him on the news recently. It was on the national news as well. They actually found his body under Euston Station, and they brought it all the way back up to be buried. It was only a couple of months ago, back in June or July. And they brought it up to have a proper burial in Lincolnshire, in a little village called Donington. But what's his name? And number 10, where would you find Goose Green, Mount Tumbledown, and Fox Bay? So where would you find Goose Green, Mount Tumbledown, and Fox Bay? So that was 10 questions on the Southern Hemisphere. So now we're going to head back to school. It's a school timetable. So on this round, once again, as always, there's 10 questions, but they'll be on different subjects, just taking you back to your school days, however far away or however near away that was. So first of all, then, we're going to pop into the geography room. I'd like to know the name of the world's largest desert. So what is the world's largest desert? So having been in the geography room and finding out what the world's largest desert is, we've moved now into the English room. And what I'd like you to do is to consider spelling. I'd like you to spell pterodactyl. Pterodactyl, as in the flying dinosaur, pterodactyl. They may not have been around for quite a while, but they looked interesting enough. I'd like you to spell pterodactyl, please. So, having done some spelling, we've left the English room, we've popped into the biology class, and the hallux is the medical name for which part of the body? Hallux, Hallux, hallux. It's the medical name for which part of the body? So, having looked at some biology, let's pop in for a spot of maths. On an equilateral triangle, how many degrees are there in each angle of the triangle? So on an equilateral triangle, how many degrees are there in each angle? So having considered some maths, we're going to pop in for some history. In which year was the Battle of Waterloo? Didn't last long, it was only a few hours, but in which year was the Battle of Waterloo? So having looked back at some history, we're going to move on to some science. What I'd like to know is, what is the world's heaviest element? So you've got the table of elements, haven't you, with helium and hydrogen at the top, but what is the heaviest of all the elements? So let's take it easy on question number 7. We moved into the art room for a bit of relaxation. And what I'd like to know is, who painted the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel? Who painted the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel? Now, question number 8, it was my favourite subject when I went to school. Yes, it was quite a long time ago, but I can still remember it. And this was my favourite of all the classes, classical studies, the myths and legends of the Greeks and the Romans. But what I'd like to do on this one is to have a look at some Greek mythology, which, again, is personal favourite. Sorry about that. But it is. What I'd like to know is, who was the twin brother of Artemis? So Artemis was a god. So was her twin brother. But who was her twin brother? So who is the twin brother of Artemis? They're both gods. So having looked back thousands of years at some classical studies, we find ourselves now for question number 9 in the music room. And what I'd like to know is, which note do orchestras usually tune their instruments to before a concert? So which note do orchestras normally tune their instruments to? And question number 10, English literature. Who wrote the book Rebecca? It's a very famous book. Mrs. Danvers was not a very nice individual, if I remember correctly. I'm not worried about Mrs. Danvers. What I'd like to know is who wrote it? So those are your 10 questions for the school timetable. So time for some answers then. Let's go back to round number 4. What is the highest hand in 3-card brag? Well, it's 3 threes. 3 threes can't be beat. Question number 2, which format of rugby used in the Olympics is also a card game? Well, that's sevens. Question number 3, we've all got 1, Doctor Who had 2, and octopuses have 3. But what are they? Hearts. Hearts is the answer. Number 4, that's Suffolk Town that has a racecourse, which is also the name of a popular card game. That's Newmarket. Number 5, according to the title of their number 1 hit song in the mid-90s, Cher, Nana Cherry, and Chrissie Hynde claimed that love could build a bridge. So bridge was what I was looking for there. Number 6, the name of the fortune-telling character played by Jane Seymour in the James Bond movie Live and Let Die. Well, that's Solitaire. Number 7, if someone is calm and never allowing anything to upset them, what quality of a saint are they said to have? Well, that's the patience of a saint, patience. Number 10, sorry, no, we're not. I'm getting ahead of myself. Number 8, how many points are needed to win a game of cribbage? 121. 121. Number 9, the Spanish word for the number 1 is uno. And a Jenny, question number 10, is a female donkey. So donkey was what I was looking for there. Then we moved on then to the Southern Hemisphere. The first question I asked you about the Uluru. That's what the locals call it, but we know it better as Ayers Rock. Ayers Rock. Number 2, what is the Southern Cross? Well, that is a constellation of stars. I then asked you about Montevideo being the capital of which country? Well, that is in Uruguay. I asked you the nickname for number 4 of the South African rugby team. Well, those are the Springboks. Number 5, released from Robben Island on February the 13th, 1990. Well, that was Nelson Mandela. Number 6, the largest country in South America is Brazil. Number 7, I asked you the main food that a koala bear survives on. Well, those are eucalyptus leaves. Cape Horn, number 8, is in Chile. Number 9, that man from Lincolnshire who was, they found his body under Euston Station. He was the first man to map the coastline of Australia. His name is Matthew Flinders. Number 10, where would you, I asked you, where you would find Goose Green, Mount Tumbledown, and Fox Bay. Well, those are on the Falkland Islands. We then moved on to the school timetable, and we were in the geography room to start with. The world's largest desert is Antarctica. It's a snow desert, but it's still a desert. It's the largest one. Number 2. Now, I feel I may have been tripped up on this one because somebody's kindly pointed out that it's come up on the subtitles. It was a spelling question. Pterodactyl. I don't think you need to tell me to tell you how to spell it because you've seen it already when it came up. Pterodactyl. I'll watch out for that next time. Biology. I asked you about the hallux being the medical name for which part of the body? Well, that's your big toe, otherwise known as the hallux. Number 4 was a maths question. I asked you how many degrees are in each angle on an equilateral triangle. Well, there are 60 in each angle. History. Number 5, the Battle of Waterloo took place in 1815. And in science, number 6, I asked you the name of the world's heaviest element. Well, that's uranium. We then moved on to art. I asked you who painted the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. Well, that was Michelangelo. Number 8, classical studies. The twin brother of Artemis was Apollo. And number 9, orchestras normally tune their instruments to the note A. And number 10, In English literature, the author of the book Rebecca was Daphne du Maurier. I really hope you've enjoyed the quiz today. I hope you scored well, and hopefully you've enjoyed it. And I will be back, and I will see you again another day. I've been Dave Mustoe. Whatever you do, enjoy your day, enjoy the weeks to come, and keep it virtual village hall. So many things to see and do and get involved in. I'll see you again soon. Bye now.